G'day Bomber fans, finally the season's coming to an end. We are mathematically ruled out of finals contention, meaning this weekend's game against Brisbane is our last for the year. We win and it means nothing, we lose and it means nothing. This is officially a dead rubber clash, which spells danger for our flaky Bombers. This has the potential to either be really, really ugly or randomly amazing. Who knows what the Dons will dish up at the end of the year. It's been a rollercoaster season. Maybe there is one highlight left in store for us. Only time will tell. Today, I'm going to preview our round 24 clash, but before I do that, we have to go back to our Sydney game to have a cheeky look at the votes. Alrighty, so votes from the last game. Nick Martin was the clear standout, getting maximum votes from us. Archie Roberts actually got the next most from there. He got 2 from me and 1 from you as the role player. Sam Draper got a couple. Caldwell, Laverde, Brian, they all got love as well. It was Brian and Roberts' first votes for the year. Roberts getting his first votes for the club. And I won't show the tally, as I've been saying lately. That comes at the very end of the season, but things just got very juicy around the podium spots. Very juicy indeed, so stay tuned to see who the eventual winner is. We know who the eventual winner is going to be, but the eventual runners-up, I guess. I'm going to announce it after the year is done in a separate video. Keep up the votes. Alrighty, Essendon vs Brisbane, Saturday night. Gabba, our last game of the year. The Lions are 5th on the ladder and looking to book in that home semi-final with a win against us. Sorry, home qualifying final. Elimination final. There we go. We got there in the end. With a win against us and some results going their way. We are well out of the 8. Not a mathematical chance to play finals, and frankly, deservedly so. We've been shocking lately, which is very worrying as we travel up to the Gabba. That is a genuine fortress. You got to be very good to win up there, and we're not very good. So for context, Brisbane, who have it all to play for, can finish as high as 4th with a win. They'll be hoping the Cats lose to the Eagles though, so it's more likely they finish where they currently are placed, and now in 5th. If we win, the highest we can go is 10th, the lowest we can go is 12th, so not too much movement. Honestly though, at this stage, the lower down we are, the better draft picks we get. There's not too much difference in morale from 11th to 12th. I'll take the earlier picks. I'm not hoping for a loss, I never am, although I do think an absolute belting could at least force the club into making some tricky calls that they might not have made if we won. Maybe I'm hoping for a loss at that rate. I would hate a win that gives us false hope. I'd much rather the club is forced to act and remove some dead weight from the team, whether it be on the playing group or elsewhere. So let's talk about this game. How much are we going to get smashed by? Well, the Lions aren't exactly a hot team, or as hot a team as we thought they would be. A few weeks ago, they were flag contenders. Now they're likely to miss out on a double chance. This game isn't really about survival or moving up the ladder for them. It's about morale and momentum, because right now they have no momentum whatsoever. They are fresh off a shock loss to Collingwood, a loss which defies logic. It looked like they were trying to lose that game at the end there. And the week before that, they hosted the Giants, who managed to beat them and book themselves in the top 4. The Lions are vulnerable. We've seen that, but they are the type of team to eat up a bad system like we have at Essendon. We are clearly the prey. This is a morale booster in every sense of the word, or words, I guess. Their forward line hasn't been firing lately, but I think they'll take confidence in knowing they're playing a very leaky team defence, especially at their home ground. They could kick a really high score against us. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So what areas of the ground should we be scared of? We'll just start with the midfield is a bloody good one. They have dual Brownlow medalists there. They have a big body trade fail that we missed out on in Josh Dunkley. Still sad about that one. Hugh McGluggage, Will Ashcroft, even guys like Jared Berry, who rejected our interest to stay at the Lions, although he is not playing this match. That's a really strong, contest-heavy midfield. There isn't heaps of class, but they're very tough. They're the best clearance team in the comp. If they're getting it all together on Saturday night, we are in trouble. Even if Merritt, Caldwell and Co are at their best, I think the Lions trounce us close to their best. They should be winning the midfield battle. I would be surprised if they don't. The one area we have over them is our centre clearance work. We're really good at finding space at centre clearances and hitting the ball with pace. The Lions are more of a stoppage clearance team. They prefer the ball in tight spaces because they have those contested beasts that we just don't have, especially on a smaller ground. On the MCG, you can find space. It's fat. At the Gabba, it's harder to do so. It's why the Lions struggle on the G so much. But we aren't playing there. We're playing at the P.O.T.Y, and at the Gabba, the Lions are a different beast in that engine room. That forward line will be hard to contain. Joe Danaher, we know how good he is, and he's a great matchup for Ben Mackay. Mackay does cover the ground usually well, but he isn't fast enough to match Danaher on the ground. Hipwood has shown he can kick a bag. Charlie Cameron is Charlie Cameron. These are forwards that we need to be focusing on. It's not like Sydney. They don't have many forwards that you have to focus on, the Swans, but they still killed us. We have to be really targeting 3 or 4 different players forward of the ball against the Lions, while also hoping that we keep the likes of Cam Rayner down. They have dangerous players who we know can kick bags, And down back, they have some All-Australian contenders. Harris Andrews is incredible. Dane Zorko is a rebounding machine. Lester's underrated. Starcevic is underrated. Wilmot is underrated. These are guys that would walk into our first team, I reckon. Jack Payne might return. It's a really well-rounded side. They'd be much higher up the ladder if they got off to a good start this year, but they didn't. They were in the bottom 6 for a while, but I really do think this list, or this best 22, not the list, but the best 22 or 23, is arguably the strongest in the comp. And ours, I would say, we're sitting around where we deserve to be honest. We have a good list, but nowhere near great. And to be high up the ladder, you need to have a great list. I'm worried about how we find goals against Brisbane. We struggled to score whilst holding heaps of the ball. We had 36 inside 50s in the first half last week for 4 goals. We really struggle to score with the amount of territory we generate. The issue this week is the fact that Brisbane are the second best team in the comp for limiting the amount of entries their opponents get. They average just 46.9 inside 50s against a game. We also really struggle to contain teams scoring when they enter, and Brisbane average 56.8 inside 50s a game, the second most in the comp. In fact, there are 2 teams in the competition far and away above the rest for inside 50 differentials, meaning they get more inside 50s per game than the other team. The Dogs and the Lions average around 10 more inside 50s than their opponent per game. The next best in third is us with 6.3. We are so reliant on quantity rather than quality. And this week we're going up against a team who has both. What are we going to do? How are we going to survive this game? I can only see this being ugly, to be honest. That is, unless we magically change our boring plan or fix our efficiency going inside 50. I think the only way we make this game as close as we can is by kicking the ball side to side for an hour, just making sure they don't get the ball, because if they do, they're going to score, and they'll score heavily. They will both control the ball and score from it, something we cannot do. I'm also worried about the lack of stakes in this game. The boys have been saying for weeks that they'll fight hard every week to close out the season. They said it after the Crows game. We went on to get pumped by St Kilda. They said it after the St Kilda game, and not long after that we lost against the Suns. We said it after the Suns game, and we got pumped against the Swans. Talk is cheap. We've heard it for weeks and years, really. I know the boys will say they're hungry to prove themselves, but let's be real, they aren't. I think we really lack hunger and competitiveness, especially in some of those young, talented players. As soon as the Lions pile on a few goals on Saturday night, I think we're going to drop our heads. There is absolutely nothing on the line this game, nothing at all. So how are we supposed to expect that the team comes out and fights when they haven't been during this period where the season was on the line? I think this spells blowout, and I don't mind that. I'd rather us get absolutely pumped so we're forced to be brutal with our list and our coaching team. I'm going to put out a video in a few days about that, because there is a bit going on behind the scenes. But there is set to be some changes to our coaching setup, which I'll talk about as well. But I think that would be fast-tracked if we go out and lose by 100 points, which is definitely on the cards. It's definitely possible. We're a pretty bad footy team right now. All right, team news, starting with Brisbane. They could welcome back Jack Payne, but they might want to make sure he is as fresh as he can be for finals, and they don't really need him against us. They probably won't rest anyone due to the week off. They will actually be without Jared Berry, though. He hurt himself last week, so he could be replaced by someone like Devon Robertson, who was an emergency, or maybe Jared Lyons, who tore up in the VFL. As for us, we could welcome back Matt Guelphy to the team. He's labelled as a test for the week. Nick Cox and Jordan Ridley will both miss, so don't expect either of them to come in despite being possibilities late last week for this clash. I reckon Guelphy comes in for Menzies. That is a straight swap that makes sense, and after that it's all about what Scott wants to close out the year like. Does he want the club to fight for another win, or does he want to give the young boys a crack? There is every chance Heppel gets a farewell game, although it would be pretty rough to make him play his last game at the Gabba, losing by 20 goals. I suspect if that happens, he simply rests Archie Roberts. That is a like-for-like option. I don't know if Heppel really needs it, though, after last week. It's not like there's going to be any Essendon fans there to see him play. I would like to see Lewis Hayes in the team for one game, but I think Scott sticks with Wiedemann. I think Sartas has to play. He could come in for Archie Perkins. You got Sard El Hawley playing well in the Rezzies, but he might still be a tad underdone after that injury, so I don't know if it's the right time to give him an AFL debut. I hope we make some changes to get a look at the future, though. Sartas, Hayes, keep Hobbs in for another week, but I don't know. Who knows what we're going to do? Predicting the team is getting harder and harder. Predicting the result is a different task, though, so let's move on to that. All right, prediction. Look, it's probably going to get ugly. If we lose to Sydney by around 40 points at home, I think we're probably facing a big loss if we're going to be moving to one of the hardest grounds to play out in the comp. Brisbane are a much better club than us. We have absolutely nothing to play for. There is no reason for us to go and win there. Obviously, we want to win games, but this club just won't care enough to win. I think the Lions will win with ease. It's going to be a 60-point victory, probably more, to the Lions. I just don't think we're going to be competitive, maybe for a quarter or two, but not the whole game, and the Lions are a team who can pile on goals quickly. Big Brisbane win, I reckon. Leave your predictions down below. Whoever gets the closest gets to take Sam Wiedemann's spot in the best 23. That is the last match preview of season 2024. It doesn't mean the content ends here, though. I'll be posting more and more now that the season is ending. I'll be posting heaps in relation to the trade period and the draft. That is what I love to talk about most, so stay tuned for that. That is all, though. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.